threatening inundation. It has been about a week of heavy rainfall in various parts of the country, with resultant effects being floods, mudslides, displacements and at worst deaths. In his COVID-19 briefing, President Kenyatta noted that it was imperative for Kenyans, especially in flood-prone areas, to move to higher grounds.
We mourn the 29 Kenyans who have lost their lives in Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot, and my administration continues to make every effort to support affected families and communities across the country. We continue to warn our fellow Kenyans that coming out of last year, where the rains were still very heavy and now are heavy once again, the risk of flooding, the risk of mudslides are increasing, and I would request and really plead with all Kenyans to follow the advice that is coming from the Ministry of Interior, that is coming from our meteorological people, that please let us move to higher ground.
While calling on Kenyans to heed the Kenya Meteorological Department's advisory on the rains, the head of state called on relevant authorities to work with affected people to ensure that they are relocated to avert a crisis.
We, on our part, have mobilized the deployment of resources, including rescue personnel from our various security and humanitarian agencies, covering the Kenya Defense Forces, the National Police Service, the Ministry of Special Programs, amongst other agencies, to assist in these affected regions so as to provide emergency response, mitigation, as well as preventative action.
Meanwhile, transport along the busy Sotik-Kisii highway has been paralyzed after River Kipsonoi burst its banks. This forced motorists who ply the highway to seek alternative routes, while others were stranded as they awaited water levels to reduce so that they can access the road.
Tunasubiria tu tuone wangalau kama itafungua ndio tuweze kuvuka. Hiyo ni pesa mingi kwa kulingana bila mimi ambaye nilikuwa natarajia kwenda nipewe mzigo mwingine. Naona sasa nimepata hasara kitu kama 200,000.
In Migori, hundreds of families living in Uhuru Beach along Lake Victoria are pleading with the government to help evacuate them to safer grounds following increased backflow experience in the lake. They said destruction caused by the floods is irreparable, as some are forced to flee their homes.
Nyumba zetu zimebomoka, watoto tumebaki nao watoto 5, vile tunaweza kula mna. Tunaomba serikali atusaidie, tupate vile tunaweza kujisaidia. Hatuna chakula, hatuna sehemu ya kulala.
The affected families were forced to brave the cold as they could not move to rescue camps following government's directive barring overcrowding to curb the spread of coronavirus. The Kenya Meteorological Department is predicting heavy rains in Lake Victoria Basin, highlands west of the Rift Valley, the Central and South Rift Valley, and the highlands east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi region. Caroline Kama reporting for Channel 1 News.